We're gonna spend the next 2 days driving to the edge of the world through Tasmania's northwest via the beautiful coastal town of Stanley, known for the iconic volcanic plug that towers over it.
So the last time you guys saw us, we just made it to Burnie, and we just spent the week exploring Tassie with my parents who flew over from Perth. But now we're back on our adventures and we're heading to the edge of the world, and our first stop is Stanley. We have just made it to the Nut.
And it is very windy, as you may be able to tell. So behind me is one of the most iconic features in Stanley, the Nut. So the Nut is actually a volcanic plug. So it used to be a volcano, and that cone shape of the volcano, through weathering and erosion, broke down and left the Nut with this hard, flat top. So we've made it to the base of the Nut. Now the Nut is 143 meters high, and you can actually go onto the top of it and walk a lap around it. Now to get up there, you can either take the chairlift or hike it. We've decided to hike it, which apparently it's steep and strenuous, so we may regret it. It looks pretty steep, but it's only 400 meters, so I feel like it can't be that bad, right?
No. What's pretty cool about this chairlift is that it's actually the repurposed chairlift that was at Mount Borbor back in Victoria. So that's pretty cool. And I'm not sure how much it costs to actually ride it, but we'll put it on the screen. Already starting off this hike, it's pretty steep. But like Lydia said, it shouldn't last that long, and then it's pretty flat at the top. So I don't think it's that bad.
It actually kind of reminds me of what's it called? Frenchman's Peak in Esperance, because it was super steep.
You know it's bad when even the sign is on a steep incline.
Look how wonky it is. Look at this. But once we were up there, we were good.
Or that volcano in South Australia. What's it called?
Mount Shank.
Mount Shank.
That's
yeah,
it.
I feel like it's probably more like that one.
That hike actually wasn't bad at all. It was pretty steep, but you would have these like big steep sections, and then there'd be a lookout and a bench. So not too bad. The views were incredible, so that was a good excuse to stop and just look at the view the whole time. But we're on the Nut circuit now, which I think is 2 kilometers, and it goes around the whole of the Nut, and it's just like completely flat patch. So this is really nice, and we've got incredible views.
This whole area was established by Van Diemen's Land Company, and this company was established by the English to explore the potential of the wool industry here in Tasmania, so they didn't have to rely on other sources like Italy, for example. Behind us you could see a little residence with like farmland around it, and right next to it is actually the barracks where they had the convicts housed. And then down there somewhere by the beach is a little cemetery where a couple of the first settlers are buried, as well as their descendants. Now you might be wondering, why is this place called the Nut? And there's
Iconic name.
Very iconic. But there's 2 theories. The first one being the traditional custodians of the land, the First Nations people, actually called it Mu Nut Rika. And then the second theory is that the European settlers tried to actually explode part of the Nut, and they failed. Plot twist.
And it was a whole setup. Like people came in from Hobart and
like,
thought it was
yeah, everyone was so excited.
Really exciting explosion.
And then all that happened was
like
there's a little bit of
dust.
powder, dust and whatnot. And they said, oh, it's as hard as a nut. So, I mean,
they said a tough nut to crack.
Tough nut to crack. So take it as you will. Maybe they were probably inspired by the Aboriginals calling it Moon Nut Rika and shortened it a little bit. Or because they tried to explode the thing.
I think it's so interesting that at the start of this walk, it was all this really dry, low-lying shrub and dry grass. And suddenly, out of nowhere, we're kind of in this like pretty, I'd say kind of dense, greeny kind of forest.
On the Parks and Wildlife website for Tasmania, a lot of the times they actually specify like what animals you can find in the area. And I thought, Surely not. Like, none of these would be here if it's just on top of like a rock. But actually, now that there's like vegetation and everything, I'm actually not surprised.
Yeah. Are you gonna say what they were? So
I have to double check.
you
But
said there was a special, was it orange-bellied parrot?
yes.
There's the
some other.
shearwater birds.
Yes.
That migrate here.
I'm pretty sure there's another bird as well. I think it's 3 bird species.
Yeah.
And then some of our favorites. Tasmanian devils that have been spotted here. Pardamelons. Bandicoots.
I think it's a bandicoots.
Yes.
We've made it to this area which has all these burrows. You look carefully, you can see these burrows, which we think are for the birds. We just looked it up and that does look exactly like a shearwater burrow.
Has to be.
So there could be loads of birds just nesting out here.
Either that or little Tasmanian devils.
Or maybe it's giant snake nests. You know, if anyone came across us right now, they'd think we were right weirdos.
That has to be Tasmanian devil poo. Like, I'm sorry, it's so hairy and dry. It has to be.
We're just out here in the middle of this trail staring at poo.
I love our last episode, second last episode.
Oh, yeah.
We were fascinated by the wombat poo, and now it's the Tasmanian devil poo.
Well, we searched up Tasmanian devil poo and it always has like hair and stuff in it. So
It has to be.
it really looks like a Tasmanian devil poo.
Yeah.
Maybe we should come back at night.
While we're not dying on the incline of the nut,
Hey, it's not that bad.
it's not. I thought I should mention that there's 2 endangered species only found on this nut. Oh, one of them's only found on the nut. The other one is found at different areas as well in Tasmania. But that is a type of daisy. And then the one that's only found on the nut is a snail. That's like 1 millimeter in size, like across diameter.
Also, the snail pattern on its shell goes anti-clockwise. And apparently it's one of the only snails that has that anti-clockwise pattern.
Yeah.
Because apparently they're all clockwise, which I had no idea. Ah, Vian, be careful, there's a devil biting your bum. There's a Tasmanian devil biting your bum.
What the heck? I thought it was a caterpillar because you keep pointing out caterpillars. And I just...
There's a Tasmanian devil biting your bum.
So mean.
I'm sorry, bestie.
I don't forgive you. I was going to make you pizza. But now I'm reconsidering.
I've been bullying Vian with the caterpillars because Vian doesn't like caterpillars and there's been loads up here, so big fluffy ones. I'm sorry.
I'm such an old man. Like usually every time we do a hike or anything that's like up an ascent and we have to do the descent, my knees are always just like
So
sore. So I'm like probably like the weirdest person like
I feel like we're slower coming down because we're trying to be careful not to slip, but it is really steep.
Yeah, definitely harsh on the knees.
Harsh on the knees.
So if you have bad joints, take the cable car.
I really don't think I can show how steep this is, but my feet are on a complete angle right now. We've driven like 2 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
We left the Nut car park and we've come to the Godfrey Beach penguin viewing platform.
Yeah.
But it's
a
not
little
penguin time. They come in apparently at sunset. So I think we're gonna have lunch in the van and then we're gonna have a bit of a walk through the town. But this beach is really pretty.
Yeah.
And it's got a cool view of the Nut. It makes me more impressed that we climbed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take credit for anything I can take credit for. So. We can't really be bothered making a big lunch, so we're just gonna have some cheesy pasta.
Vian got lazy. He took back the pizza option.
No, it's because you were rude. What did you say again? I can't remember.
I bit your bum.
Oh, you bit my bum, yeah. So no pizza, we're gonna have pasta.
and we decided that before we explore the town, we would come check out the penguin viewing platform before it gets dark.
Yeah, just to scout the area and see where the most traffic is.
We're walking around looking for the most like penguin poo, and we're like, all right, that's where we're gonna stand tonight. I think we're gonna have a pretty good shot here. Look at all that poop. So we scouted it out because obviously they come out at dark, so we probably won't see it that well tonight. But I'm actually really impressed by how big this is.
This is probably the biggest penguin viewing platform that I've seen, like,
Yeah.
so far on the lap.
And we've seen a couple in some of the coastal towns in Tasmania. But this is massive, and apparently they have red lights because the white lights scare penguins.
Yeah.
So this whole thing will be lit out in front of us with red lights, so we should be able to see the penguins pretty well. I'm so excited. And it's decorated so cutely, like the fence has little penguins on it. There's signs all along the viewing platform with like information on the penguins. It's just so exciting.
And it's right underneath the nut. Boop. There's the nut.
That's where we were today. So we're gonna go explore the town, go check out some of the buildings,
And then come back.
and we'll be back here at sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'd love to find a penguin under the van.
How long are you going to
I'm on the
be?
phone, can't you
Yeah,
see?
how long are you going to be? I've waited 15 minutes.
That was such a good walk. It's
is.
such a quiet, peaceful town.
I think it's especially because it's like after 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Everything is shut at 4 p.m. in this town.
So the streets are just silent. We've only
Quiet.
passed like a couple of people. It's so nice.
Everyone's been nice as well.
Yes. And it's like really quirky. I feel like the more you look, the more you see. There's loads of little details that you don't really notice unless you're just paying attention, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It's very, what do you call it?
Has a lot of details to it.
Lots of character.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Lots of character for sure.
And I feel like as well, it's pretty cool, like the architecture of all the buildings around this. It's like, you've got some beachy vibe buildings,
Yeah.
and you've got like some old cottage like buildings, and then very understated, minimalistic, modern buildings as well. And they all kind of work together in their own weird little way.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's a very quirky, very like full of life town. And even like some of the houses are just so well maintained, even behind me. It's covered in the most beautiful flowers. I'm not gonna film too much of their house because it's their house, but this whole garden is just so well looked after.
Yeah.
It's one thing we found about Tasmania is there's so many people who,
Take pride.
yes, have so much pride in the state and in their house and their town
And
and
nature.
beautiful.
It's definitely such a nice place to visit.
Waddle, 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 waddle. We gotta fit in with them, man.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Good morning everyone, it's the next day. We arrived to our campsite pretty late, but now we are back on the road bright and early. We should have about an hour of driving to at the edge of the world.
It's okay. It's okay. You're on your first spotting now. So on the way here, like anywhere you go in Tasmania, there's probably more roadkill on Tasmanian roads than there is humans that we see daily traveling. And that's left a big impact on us. Today even, we were driving here and we saw, well, Lydia spotted a little, probably an adult pademelon on the side of the road struggling, and it was very apparent that it was still alive, but wasn't able to move. So we pulled over and helped the little guy out. And, you know, Tasmania is actually the roadkill capital of the world. And doing research and having a look to see why is there so much roadkill on the road, and it's a simple thing of just slowing down dawn and dusk, 20 to 30 kilometers per hour underneath the speed limit. It's such a simple thing to do to save so many lives. There's not enough rescuers or rehabilitators or vets or organizations to help out all the struggling animals here in Tasmania. And it's really, really simple. Just respect the animals and slow down. And if you see a little animal struggling on the side of the road, or a big animal, just call the right people, call the rescuers, call sanctuaries, and just see what you can do to help. So many vets are willing to volunteer their time and their medication and their equipment to help out. And even if they don't, a lot of sanctuaries do support and do pay for it as well. So it's just giving up your time and calling the right people and just maybe helping out an animal. To help that animal, that little pademelon, it maybe took us a total of 25 minutes, and we either saved its life or we put it out of its misery. So if we seem a little bit down today or here at the edge of the world, it's because of that. It's just really sad. And you know, for us traveling full time, I feel like we neglected what privilege we have and just really been blown away by the nature without actually caring for it and appreciating it. So just do your part and slow down. Thank you. We've made it to the edge of the world.
Now, this is the edge of the world because this is the longest uninterrupted expanse of ocean. So the closest land from this point is Argentina, which is over 15,000 kilometers away. Which is just
that is
wild.
Ridiculous.
The ocean here is so strong and
so windy here. How special.
It definitely feels like we're on the edge of the world.
It does. So if you ever wondered what the edge of the world looks like, you flat earthers, here it is.
Don't fall off. Woo. kind of eerie. I think because it's so quiet here.
Yeah.
And then the water's so dark and so strong. It's just eerie. And there's logs washed up everywhere.
Yeah, it's a complete contrast to Stanley and the Nut, where everything's
Right.
so vibrant and green, and then also the water's kind of turquoisey.
Yeah.
So
Totally different here. But hey, that was a fun journey, and thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.
bye, guys.
Bye, guys.